wonders of the earth. For reasons thunder's new creation, 'tis a better world in fact. Nevermore tradition change shall bind us, arise it told us no more in truth. The earth shall rise on new foundation, we are but not, we shall be all. Then comrades come rally, 'tis the last fight we face. The Internationale unites the human race. Then comrades come rally, 'tis the last fight we face. The Internationale unites the human race. Amanda, forward to socialism, forward. Comrades, as we are about to begin with our program, let me take this opportunity to welcome our Deputy National Chairperson, Comrade Tulas Nresi, who will officially open this gathering on behalf of the South African Communist Party. Tishomkulu.
Free, free Venezuela! Free, free Venezuela! Free, free Venezuela! Free, free Venezuela! Thank you, comrades. Thank you, comrades. Amanta! Amanta! Viva SACP, viva! Viva the ANC, viva! Viva Cosatu, viva! Viva Sanco, viva! Pansi ne corruption, pansi! Pansi ne corruption, pansi! Phambili ngokwakha isizwe phambili. Phambili ngeunity phambili. Thank you, comrades. Comrades, will continue. Comrades and friends, let me begin by extending revolutionary greetings to the Slovo family, the Central Committee of the South African Communist Party, which is led by our General Secretary, Comrade Solly Mapaila. We also warmly welcome the provincial leadership of the SACP from all our provinces, who today are led by our host province, under Comrade Jacob Mamabolo. Ibambe, comrades! Ibambe, Taba! Ibambe, comrades! Comrade Marshal Zanbenita Ibamba, my comrade. Bopa, comrade, Bopa! Bopa, comrades, Bopa! Thank you, comrades. Our saying, comrades, we also warmly welcome the provincial leadership of the SACP from all our provinces, who are led today by our host province, under Comrade Jacob Mamabulo, and who is the Secretary and the Provincial Chairperson, Dr. Manza Khatel, who is also my co-chairperson today. We further, comrades, acknowledge and welcome the leadership of our Alliance Commissions present today. and amongst them the African National Congress, and also its ally or its structures. All the substructures of the ANC are here. I've seen a number of NEC members, but I've also seen, and I must recognize her, the brand new chairperson of the Johannesburg region. She's also here. That leadership, comrades, of the ANC, all the structures is led by the President of the ANC and the President of the Republic, President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa. We are going to see him very soon. He's about to come. The COSATU Central Committee, Executive Committee, which is led by its affiliates leadership, but all of them today, they are led by the President, Comrade Zingiswa Losi. The leadership of Sanco, also led by its President, Comrade Richard Mkungwa. Comrades, we recognize Umkhonto weSizwe Liberation War veterans, the Congress of the Traditional Leaders of South Africa, and all mass democratic formations who are with us here. Somebody is complaining that the sound is not audible enough. Bayakhala. Khawusincede yes. Awukhuphula ivolume. Niyandimva ngoku? Mhlawumbe ndimfuneka ndiyibeke apha emlonyeni le phepha. Comrade, a special word of welcome to our guests, including the members of the diplomatic corps. But in particular today, if you look at this flag behind us, it's a flag of Venezuela. We welcome the ambassador of Venezuela for a special visit. Can we all stand and give a big cheer for it?
¡Viva Maduro, viva! ¡Viva! ¡Y Maduro,
free! Free Venezuela! Free Venezuela! Free Venezuela! Thank you, comrades. We will, as our General Secretary will be speaking, and I guess also the President, we will be demanding the release of President Maduro. It's non-negotiable. You are all welcome, comrades. We gather here today to mark the 31st commemoration of Comrade Joe Slovo, a gallant fighter, a revolutionary intellectual, a lifelong servant of the working class and the oppressed. We commemorate Comrade Slovo at a decisive moment in our movement, following the SACP's principled decision to contest the local government elections independently. The decision places serious responsibilities on all of us. It requires, comrades, that we organize and strengthen our grassroots structures, deepen political education, and mobilize resources. And above all, comrades, we must remember that our most important resource is ourselves. Organized, disciplined cadres, rooted. I'm saying organized, disciplined cadres, rooted amongst the people. And I guess, comrades, that a number of our comrades and especially the General Secretary, will be very clear on this. We must also be clear and sober. Political contestation must never descend into intimidation or violence. Where we agree as allies, we must work together around a common program. Where we differ, we must commit to constructive engagement, political maturity, and respect for democratic processes. We must stop hurling insults, threats, and violence against those we disagree with. Instead, that is not showing political maturity. If you're politically mature, you find ways of dealing with the differences. I'm saying despite the decision we've taken as the SACP, we remain part and parcel of the alliance on the issues where we agree. Violence has no place in our movement and only weakens the struggle of the working class. And comrades, we also meet at the time of the heightened global political tensions, with serious implications for peace, for sovereignty, for multilateralism. These developments demand careful analysis and principled responses. I guess the President of the Republic, in that capacity, also in his capacity as the President of the African National Congress, will provide guidance on South Africa's engagement in the multilateral forums in relation to this issue of Venezuela, which has disturbed the whole world. And of course, I know the General Secretary of the Communist Party will hold no blows. He will outline a clear and a considered position of the SACP in relation to the issue of Venezuela. What is important for us to note is that many of today's conflicts are not simply about security or democracy. They are deeply rooted in the global economic power relations, control over resources, and the future of the international financial system. History shows us, comrades, that countries seeking greater sovereignty often face immense pressure. These realities underline the importance of international solidarity, respect for sovereignty, and rule-based multilateralism. And as communist comrades, we must continue to advocate for peace, for dialogue, and a just and a more just economic system that serves humanity, not narrow interest. We know, comrades, we can ask a number of questions. Where are the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq when Saddam Hussein was removed? What has happened in Libya when Gaddafi was removed? What is happening in Maduro today is because Venezuela is the biggest country controlling the oil, and America wants to maintain its military might using that oil. The first companies who are lining up today are the American companies, the capitalists. They want that oil. There's no terrorism which they are accusing Maduro of. There's no narcotics which they are accusing him of. All it's about the oil. But history will be on our side. So, comrades, as we honor the legacy of Comrade Joe Slovo, let us recommit ourselves to this disciplined organization, principled politics, and unwavering service to the working class and the poor. With those words, comrades, I welcome you all, and I now invite my co-chair, Comrade, he's now a professor, Professor Mandla Khatebe, to continue with the program. But I must also warn you, comrades, those who are going to be speaking. Comrade Mzwai, there's only one keynote speaker. Comrade President of Soweto, one keynote speaker. Comrade Sanco, all others. Comrade veterans, one keynote speaker. And you can see the weather normally destabilizes us on these days. So we've been requested to observe very strict time discipline. So Comrade Mandla is my co-chair. Discipline. Thank you very much, comrades.
Thank you very much, Comrade Deputy National Chair of the Communist Party. It's correct, comrades. There's only one keynote address other than him, of course, who has just given us a very strategic keynote input. Thank you very much, Comrade Chulas. Comrades, in the interest of time, we are going to move very quickly. I'm going to call the following two comrades. They will come one after another. The first one will be the Provincial Secretary of the SACP in Gauteng, Comrade Jacob Mamabulu, who will be doing a welcoming, who will welcome all of us here in the province. He will then be followed by our National Treasurer, Comrade Joyce Muloi, who will be introducing and acknowledging all the guests that are here, the important people. All of you are important, comrades, but there are those, of course, that must be acknowledged so that they can come back next year. Comrade Jacob, can I invite you to welcome everyone in Gauteng?
Amanda! Viva Comrade Joe Slovo, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva Soweto, viva! Viva Sanco, viva! Amanda! Thank you very much, Comrade Chair, Comrade Manda, and Comrade Judas, our Deputy National Chair. Comrades, as you heard, we are under extreme pressure on time, and I would like to be very brief. On behalf of the Provincial Executive Committee of the SACP in our province, I'm deeply honored and privileged to acknowledge, welcome, and appreciate the presence of our General Secretary, Comrade Solly Mapaila, who is leading the entire leadership of the SACP. Let me also, comrades, take the opportunity to acknowledge the family of Comrade Joe Slovo, and special greetings to the entire family, and they are sincerely welcomed. I think let's put our hands together to acknowledge the family of Comrade Joe Slovo. Thank you very much, comrades. Let me also proceed, as Comrade Tulas stated. The leadership of the African National Congress is led by President Cyril Ramaphosa, and of course the entire leadership of the ANC that is here. You are all welcomed and acknowledged, and of course across all the structures of the African National Congress. I'm very much honored and pleased, comrades, to extend a word of welcome to our class alliance partner, COSATU, led by the President, Comrade Lo Si. Let me take this opportunity, comrades, to also acknowledge the leadership of Sanco, as led
by the President, who is also going to give us a message, Comrade Richard Mkungo. So comrades, let me also proceed to acknowledge all the revolutionary international organizations that are here, our fraternal organizations in the country, mass democratic movement, and all of you comrades who have taken time to come and join us as we continue to celebrate the life of Comrade Joe Slovo. I'd also like to say to you, comrades, please feel at home, be comfortable. We are here to make sure that all goes well. If there's anything we can do to make your stay here great and comfortable and make it a good experience, please contact us. But with those words, comrades, Happy New Year to all of you. Compliments of 2026, and we wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and you are all welcome. Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you.
Amanda, thank you very much, Comrade Jacob, for those words of welcoming us here in Gauteng. Without any waste of time, let's call Comrade Joyce Muloi Muruba to come and acknowledge the guests that are here. She's our national treasurer. She knows who to acknowledge, who is important, including herself.
Thank you, Chair. I can't do that. Amanda, viva Comrade Joe Slovo, viva! Yes, comrades, I think part of the work had been done by the SACP Provincial Chair to actually indicate who's here. And therefore, as comrades may know, this is one of the important days where we acknowledge, or where we are actually commemorating our leader, Comrade Joe Slovo. And therefore, that's where in Zulu they call it Mvuselelo. You'll find that it says Vuselela, ngoba it's the beginning of the year. We come from celebrating, moving around with families. So today we are coming Uzos Vuselela. And therefore you'll find a lot of leaders. It's going to be completely impossible for me to introduce each and every leader. And I need to indicate at the moment that we can reader make the president has just arrived here, and obviously it might create some bit of disruption. So is there anyone who has then we continue with our introductions. Yes, amanje ayikho socialism. 100 years epatini ayikho socialism. Socialism, 100 years, epatini.
Amanda, Mapaila Sebo, Mapaila Sebo, Mapaila Sebo, Mapaila Sebo, epatini namanje ayikho i-socialism sesine 104 epatini namanje ayikho i-socialism weMapaila siyabonga Mapaila siyabonga Mapaila siyabonga Mapaila siyabonga masesine 104 epatini namanje ayikho i-socialism sesine 104 epatini namanje ayikho i-socialism weMapaila siyabonga Mapaila siyabonga socialism, sesine 104 epatini namanje ayikho i-socialism weMapaila siyabonga Mapaila
Bye-bye. Thank you, comrades. Sesiyabulela ngokunjalo. Kulani nibuyele emuva. Kulani nibuyela emuva. Kulani nihamba. Kulani nihamba. Kulani niyale emuva. Siyabulela kakhulu, siyabonga lelebuza. leaders, viva! Siyabonga. Thanks very much. President Wetlet, you are already here. We were only doing the introductions of guests. What I indicated to this day is that because we are so many, it's not possible for us to introduce. Otherwise, we can take the whole day with the introduction. And therefore, we're definitely going to sum up our introductions, and no comrade must feel like has been left out. We do have to also adhere to time. So by so saying, comrades, all alliance leaders, alliance progressive, MDM parties are all here. That includes also the ambassadors from various countries that are represented in South Africa. And in brief, comrades, asking you to just be silent for a while so that the program can flow much more well. In brief, comrades, I would need to introduce that the South African Communist Party, led by its General Secretary, Solly Mapaila, is here. The officials of the party, Comrade Tulas, Comrade Madala, Masugu, Comrade David Masondo, the National Treasurer are also here. The Central Committee in its numbers as well, they are all here. That includes even the Young Communist League, Ufa Simba, led by Comrade Mzondi Letakudi, they are all here. We do have the veterans of the SACP as well. There is a comrade who's here as well, Comrade George Mashamba, from the veterans of the SACP. So, comrades, Siphelele, Sisonke, Sizozivuselela kulelanga laka Comrade Joe Slovo. From the ANC, Nizibonele, Ufikile, Comrade Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa. Now, leading the entire delegation of the African National Congress. And but those that I've seen Comrade Sishe Zigalala, I've seen Comrade Kumbozo that I'm with here, very glad to see her, or after so long, Comrade Judith Shabalala, and our regular Comrade Marubin, who normally attends this occasion. There are many more comrades, and those comrades that I don't introduce, it's not because we don't value your presence, but it's because we may not be able to introduce the entire alliance at this occasion. ICOSATU Comrades is led by its president, Comrade Ziniswalozi Namulapa, President Comrade Mapaila. So ICOSATU is here with its unions, Seboneno Comrade Duncan, Luvura, Ukona, Comrade Gerald Twala, Bakona, Ngobulingi Babo, Bakona La. There are many more. The unions are also here. DGS, December Mavuso is also here from Nehau. That's the DGS of Nehau. There are many more unions that are here, but I won't go through them. But iphelele ICOSATU na ikona khona la ekhaya. Kukhona neSanco ngokusho njalo. uComrade Chris Madimeta, uDedeputy President ukhona, but Sanco is led by President uComrade Richard Kungise is also here. I've seen Comrade Richard, but also Comrade Chris. I've seen Comrade Chris. Contralesa, we can also forget that it's here. Simonile, Inkosi, Siposezwe, Ukhona naye la, uNathi, ufikile, Siposezwe Mahlangu. Sinaye la ekhaya, bakhona ngiyazi abanye esingababonanga kodwa yena ukhona. So Contralesa is also represented. We do have MKL WV, uComrade Dan Hadu is also here. Comrade Dan
Christmas and New Year, sing absorb it. But same we Joe Slovo, Comrade Dan is also here, a regular comrade to know that. Podemo is also here with Comrade Mlungisi, Makaya, and our international guest, of course. We do have Sahrawi Embassy, Mulai Mohammed is also here. The painful one is that we also have the Venezuela ambassador who is here. Comrades know that it's sleepless, we can't eat well. Unzema, Sidama Pipe, what is happening in Venezuela currently at this point in time. Carlos Feo is also here, the ambassador for Venezuela. Comrade Omar Gonzalez from Venezuela is here. And comrades would know what is happening there. And comrades, the world is challenged. And therefore the leaders will talk to those issues as it stands. As I said, comrades, the list is very long. I think I will have to have folded tape before the chairs, the co-chairs that are here, start to chuck me away from the podium, but I know they're very humble. Comrades, Nikona Nani Nonge in numbers. We can see starting from all of here. This is very important. We can see the alliance in its own making, all the colors, and we appreciate all your presence. Amanda.
Amanda, Soweto. Thank you very much, Comrade Joyce. Comrades, now that we've been officially welcomed to the province and all the important people have been acknowledged, we can now get going with the program without any waste of time. You heard the Deputy National Chairperson, Comrade Tulas, when he was opening this gathering. He did say everyone will be giving messages of support, and I think he said 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, Comrade Tulas. We are going to start with the international solidarity messages. We know that there's quite a number of them who are here, but we are going to call 2 of them today. We'll start with Pudemo, who Comrade Mlungisi Makanya, as we come forward, Comrade Mlungisi. Comrade Mlungisi will be giving the message of behalf of progressive forces from our region. Comrade Mlungisi will be followed by Comrade Carlos Feo, who is the ambassador from Venezuela, will be giving a message on behalf of the internationalist forces. Comrade Mlungisi.
Amanda, viva SACP, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva Sanco, viva! Forward with international solidarity, forward! Thank you very much, Chair. President Ramaphosa, General Secretary Mapaila, President Lossi, Ambassador from Venezuela, the leadership of the Alliance, and all organizations and embassies represented here. Today, comrades were here to celebrate the life of Comrade Slovo, an internationalist who dedicated his entire life in the struggle not only for a free South Africa, but for a better world. We want to take this opportunity to say President Ramaphosa, as the chairperson of the region in SADC, be assured that you have our full support as you continue to speak against the attempt by the imperialists to try and suffocate progressive nations of the world. The struggles of the people of Venezuela is intertwined with the struggles of the people of Palestine, is intertwined with the struggles of the people of Sudan, and indeed is linked to the struggles of the people of Eswatini for a free and democratic country. We want to thank the SACP for inviting us once again to come and say to South Africa under the leadership of President Ramaphosa, do not despair. Continue to speak out like you did when you took the bold decision of taking the genocidal state of Israel to the ICJ for the atrocities that are taking place in Palestine. We have heard you, President Ramaphosa, again speaking out very strongly against the abduction and rendition of President Maduro. And we want to say you are speaking on behalf of all of us. We think, comrades, that this is the time for all international organizations who are progressive to unite like never before and close rank, because the struggles that we are fighting is not only a national struggle, it's an international struggle. We want to say to you, Ambassador Espudemo, we strongly and unshakably stand behind President Maduro and the people of Venezuela, and we join the call for the immediate and unconditional release of President Maduro and the First Lady. This is the best thing, comrades, we can do for Comrade Slovo, because we know, had Comrade Slovo been with us, he will be in the trenches and on the streets demanding the release of President Maduro. He would have been demanding the end of the genocide in Palestine. He will be demanding for peace in Sudan. And it is indeed the best way we can honor Slovo, by standing firm on this issue. We want to wish the SACP well, and we look forward to all the other addresses here. Thank you very much, comrades. As the progressive forces in the region, we want to say we are with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Makanya. For that, the Ambassador of Venezuela, Your Excellency.
Amandla! Viva Joe Slovo, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva Sanco, viva! Viva International Solidarity, viva! Good morning, comrades. I want to begin to acknowledging the leadership of the Alliance, President Cyril Ramaphosa, SG Solly Mapaila, and the leadership of COSATU and Sanco as well, and wanted to start thanking the South Africa brave position assumed condemning the US military intervention in Venezuela, and especially asking for an urgent meeting of the UN Security Council that has been held yesterday. This brave position we appreciate it, we thank, and it is seeked with the principles of South Africa, respecting the international law, the UN Charter, the international legal frame that allows us as countries to live in peace in community. And this international legal frame has been broken 2 days ago with this US military intervention in Venezuela. But I want also to take this short message to tell you that we are confident. Yes, we have been struck, we have been hit, we have been humiliated. Several dozens of civilians and military people has been killed in Venezuela, among them 32 Cuban heroes that were part of the presidential security team. Yes, they have kidnapped our president Nicolas Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores. It has been a big hit for us, it's true, but we are not defeated. We will never be defeated. Our revolutionary government is still in place. Our institutions are still in place. The spirit of the people in Venezuela is high, is alive. We will be resisting this U.S. imperialist aggression, this U.S. colonialist aggression. That you can be sure of it. We are confident in that we will be prevailing. We will win. They cannot rule on our country. They cannot rule on our oil. They cannot decide on our land, on our mineral resources. They cannot rule our people. The revolution, the Bolivarian revolution in Venezuela is still going on as it's getting stronger than ever. Thank you for the international solidarity of South Africa. All the organization of the Alliance has been very supportive, the South African government as well. And we are here to say that we will resist, we will prevail. Thank you very much, comrades. Amadla! Free Maduro, free! We will invite you to join us in this international solidarity campaign asking for the release of President Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores. Viva Venezuela, viva! Viva, viva the Bolivarian Revolution, viva! Viva, viva Maduro, viva! Viva. Thank you, comrades.
Stop the bombing right now! Free Venezuela! Free Venezuela! Free Venezuela! Free Venezuela!
Mandla! Thank you very much, Ambassador, for those words. Comrades, I'm told that we are also joined by the co-convener of the ANC in Gauteng province, Comrade Panyaza. I don't know where he's sitting. Oi. Hey, Tada. Thank you very much, comrades. Comrade Menzi, are you here? Where are you? Comrade Menzi, please come forward and do your thing before we go to... who's introducer, Comrade Menzi?
Ngibonge ngibingelele izwe lonke ngumenzi wakazikhali okusihlalo wenhlangano ebizwa ngebambanani mahostele eyasungulwa 18 years ago. Manibona namuhla igoli linamahostele awu-72. Kwakunzima ukusebenza ngaphakathi emahostele kubantu abaqhamuka emalokishini. Kwakunzima ukucampaigna kuma-political party amaningi. Kodwa sikwenze kwenzeka. Kodwa sikushoyo manje sikhathele amanga esikhohliswa osopolitiki. Ngaso sonke isikhathi makuzovotwa bangena bephuma besithembisa ukuthi kuzoba nenguquko asikaze zenzeke. Kodwa emlandweni kuyoba okokuqala ukubona amabovu phecelezi Communist Party nokhongolose bahlukana. Ngani ngobuholi obuvikela inkohlakalo obuhlulekile ukulwa nenkohlakalo. La ngiqhamuka khona ekuruleni kunomlando during the political violence. USolly Mapaila uqhamuke ekuruleni, undunankulu walesifundazwe uPanyaza uqhamuke ekuruleni. Ekuruleni namuhla yikhaya lenkohlakalo. Yingakho kuzondo commission kukhulunywa ngeekuruleni. Osomabhizinisi abasafuna ukwenza ibhizinisi ngeekuruleni abakhokhelwa kuno 10%. siyibiza ukuthi phecelezi professional extortion enzakale kuruleni. Engifuna ukuthi ke ngikusho ngokungananazi. Siwahambele wonke amahostele saba nemihlangano ethi sizophuma ngotho lethu siyovota. Amakhansela angasebenzile ngeke abuyele. Amameya angasebenzile ngeke abuyele. Noma umuntu angagabha phalaze adle umuthi lutho. Noma umuntu angathandaza. Indlala kulelizwe idalwe osopolitiki. Sihlupheka kangaka kulelizwe bekumele sihlupheki. President, mawungabuka kahle kwi-history yenhlangano oyiholayo, izakhamuzi zakulelizwe zinike 31 years i-ANC busa. Yathembisa na uzamile la uzame khona kodwa esikhala ngawo lama commission eniwakhandayo amathende yi-closed hand commission ngoba kuqaphula umuntu nabangani bakhe. Wonke amajaji afisa ukuba nama-commission ngoba abonile ukuthi imali le. Mangaba ama-commission bewasebenza baningi ababe ngabe sebaboshiwe, mhlambe nawe ngabe sewuboshiwe. Kodwa-ke sifuna ukuthi sikusho ngokungananazi. Mongameli, zikhona izinto ozizamile zaba kahle, angesiqamba manga, kodwa inkinga onayo usarawundwa abantu abarong. Okunye sifuna ukuthi sigcizelele ngokungananazi. Angeke abantu bakulelizwe bahlupheke sinomnotho, kodwa osopolitiki badla bodwa ngoba befuna ukusebenzisa. Sibambanani sibuholi bamahostele okusebenzana naye Contralesa koSumahlangu ndabezitha ngibonga ngiyanqonqoza ukuthi amakhosi ngaso sonke isikhathi mele ahlale ephakathi kwalobu sopolitiki ngoba baqhamuka la kubusa amakhosi, izwe lamakhosi. Kodwa okunye ngeke ngikhohlwe engifuna ukuthi ngikuveze. Uyabona kuKhongolose manje sekunobugebengu obukhulu obungasakhonakali. Umuntu athi awunobhala afuna ukuba MMC. Yingakho inhlangano ingasakhontroleki. So ngizama ukuthi makomanisi abayocontesta ngibavulele iminyango yamahostele bazongena bephuma bathathizwe. Ngibonge kakhulu bakithi.
Siyabonga. Comrades, without any waste of time, comrades, comrades, we are going to proceed with the program. We are now going to request the National Secretary of the Young Communist League of South Africa, Comrade Mzwandile Takodi, to come and speak to us.
Mandla, Soweto, siyasibona state power. Siyasibona state power. Siyasibona state power. Siyasibona state power. Agenda ye-socialist. Agenda ye-socialist. Agenda ye-socialist. Agenda ye-socialist. Siyasibona state power. Siyasibona state power. Abawazi umthetho. Abawazi umthetho. Awawazi umthetho. Awawazi umthetho. Bazawuzwa umoya. Bazawuzwa umoya. Amandla. Wethu. Forward to socialism, forward. Thank you so much, Comrade Chairperson, Prof. Mandla Khatebe, and to greet the co-chairperson, Ubautolo, our party National Deputy Chair, to greet the party Central Committee, as led by our General Secretary, Comrade Solly Mapaila, to acknowledge the leadership of the Tripartite Alliance, the Revolutionary Alliance present here, the President of the African National Congress, the President of COSATU, as well as the leadership of Sanco, to acknowledge our veterans, the international guests, as led of course here by the resistant and resilient Comrade Carlos Fellow, and most importantly, the working class youth of our country, comrades, the Young Communist League of South Africa, the militant youth of the South African Communist Party, comes to this 31st Joe Slovo commemoration at a moment that demands firm leadership and ideological clarity, as the Vanguard Party gears itself to confront a new and exciting chapter as it stands to defend the class in its own name, appearing on the ballot for the first time since the dawn of the democratic dispensation. We want to say we are here as the Young Communist League to come and give a report back to Commander Slovo on the decision of the 15th January 1993 to say the party indeed has now boldened itself, has moved towards defending the class for working class representation. Elected presidents are being abducted from their homes, bombs are falling on sovereign capitals, the rule of law are being torn up by those who wrote them. In the class battle we are waging, it goes without saying that as communist youth, we will always choose the side of the people, against capital, against imperialism, and against fascism, for socialism, for sovereignty, for we gather in the name of Comrade Joe Slovo to pay respect and commemorate his life. Slovo never traded principle for comfort. He never traded clarity for applause. He understood that apartheid was a franchise, a local branch of a global imperialism, capitalism, fascism, and white supremacy combined. The same banks that funded apartheid funded fascist regimes and dictatorships across the world. The same corporations that profited then from migrant labor continue to profit from cheap labor and non-deserving tax incentives, making the gap between the rich and the poor much wider. And in his infinite wisdom, Slovo understood another thing too. A communist must choose sides, not once, every day, in every decision, in every alliance, in every struggle. And comrades, today, choosing side is not rhetoric. It is the basis of our survival as a class. Look at our lived reality. Global capitalism is running out of answers and ways to explain to the people when this American dream will happen. The answer, I guess, is in what's called an American dream. That is an African nightmare. For decades, they told us, privatize, liberalize, and open the markets, protect investments. The benefits will reach the poor. We know that story. We have lived inside that story. What reached the workers and the poor is anxiety, hunger, insecurity. What flowed upwards was profit. Today in South Africa, 6 in every 10 young people who want work cannot find it. 6 in 10. That is you, your neighbor, your son sitting in the corner, 10 a.m. in the morning, because they have nowhere to go. That is your cousin who finished matric 3 years ago and still cannot find learnership. That is a young woman who stopped applying because rejection became a second trauma. We are in 2026 and we still live in one of the most unequal societies on earth. In the midst of a glaring inequality, bread rises, data rises, transport rises, but wages stay the same. Grants stay flat, opportunities stay locked. Young people are left trapped outside the economy before they even get an opportunity to build a life for themselves. When we ask when will turn things around, they tell us the economy is growing. For whom? That growth never reaches us. It evaporates before it touches the streets. Now the latest talking point is the declaration of unemployment as a national disaster. We keep on hearing the moving goalpost while we see no practical results. Let it be known that young people of South Africa do not need a declaration of unemployment as a national disaster. That goes without a saying. What young people need is a government that is loyal to this country. Young people need a government that will, against all odds, put its shoulder to the wheel and give young people dignified jobs and developmental pathways. Comrades, the one thing that capitalism and poverty have in common is when capitalism runs out of answers, it does not retire quietly. It turns violent. Wars to seize resources like in Venezuela. Austerity to make workers subsidize inefficiency of an extractive economy. Repression to silence resistance. And when all else fails, fascism remains. We see this unfolding in the world, in our region, and as of course in our country. So when we declare war on capitalism, we are not dramatic. We are confronting the system that undermines every promise we make to the people we stand for. When we confront capitalism at home, we are fighting imperialism abroad. Therefore, our war on capitalism is not theatrical, it's not theatrics. It is the only rational response to a structured power operating towards one goal on every front, economically, through IMF, World Bank, the weaponized rating agencies, politically through diplomatic pressure, regime change project, and sponsorship of frivolous opposition. Look at what happened in Gdansk, who in many cases are proxies backed by mercenaries. Militarily through NATO, AFRICOM, foreign bases, drones. Look at what is happening in Botswana. Direct military intervention. Culturally through media, NGOs that paint exploitation as common sense and resistance as extremism. Comrades, in this context, we must speak about Venezuela. For years, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela has faced sanctions, unilateral coercive measures that the United Nations recognizes as violation of human rights and international law. These sanctions are often ironically dressed in the name of unilateral lawfare designed to criminalize the resistance against imperialism and its manifestation. The sanctions are designed to starve a revolutionary movement into insolvency and erode the confidence of a nation and ultimately undermine its territorial integrity. Venezuela's crime, why are they sanctioned? It is sanctioned because it has oil, as Bautolo has already highlighted here. It wants to use that oil for its own people. It wants to trade with BRICS. It wants the world where one country does not dictate terms to all others. For that, it is targeted, isolated, and destabilized, as we have seen of late. We saw what happened in Libya, regime change turned functioning state into chaos. We saw it in Iraq, fabricated narratives became the excuse for military intervention. So comrades, as the Young Communist League, we want to express our principled and firm solidarity and with the people of Venezuela, and we're making a call that we must support that the president of Venezuela must be released unconditional. Amandla, Gawetu, Awanya Wanjo Vayase, Awanya Wanjo Vayzona, Awanya Wanjo Vayase, Awayase. Aswafona mapochwa Aswafuna makapetali Tinafuna socialism, communism.
Amandla. Long live Wisely, long live. Chikitela Ufasimba, Chikitela. Thank you very much, National Secretary, for that message. Comrades, without any waste of time, we are now going to request Inkosi Usiposezwe Mahlangu to come and speak on behalf of the Contralesa. Ndabizit.
Siyabonga menzi angithathe leli thuba ngihloniphe umndeni wakwaSlovo, ngihloniphe unobhala omkhulu wamakomunisi eSouth Africa ubaba uSolly Mapaila, ngihloniphe umongameli welizwe lakithi upresident ubaba uRamaphosa. Mr. President, we greet you. The president of Soweto, the president of Sanco, amongst us, the ambassador from Venezuela, okhona phakathi kwethu, director of the ceremony, General Secretary of the SACP, Comrade Solly Mapaila, leadership of the party, leaders of the fraternal formations of the Congress movement present here, comrades and compatriots, good morning. I greet you in revolution greetings from the National Executive of Contralesa in memory of Comrade Joe Slovo, a selfless and
comrades, abakhipha ama t-shirt. Animeni ngalo khipha ama t-shirt. Niyadisturba la. Okwesibili ningakhoza istampede kulimala abantu. Siyanicela ke bakwethu saseneyipika ziyakhuluma ndabezithu.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Ngesi. Comrade Joe Slovo was an intelligent and a courageous leader. He rejected white privilege, which was designed to entrench the white supremacy and racial segregation. He was steadfast in the struggle against apartheid and the laws of apartheid. He was a sharp and a principled voice that consistently advocated for the right and the interest of the working class. He spoke for the toiling masses of our people in the rural areas. He prepared to pay an ultimate sacrifice on that cause. As we mark this day, we must also reflect deeply on what's happening in our country and in the world today. We must ask ourselves, Mr. President, an honest and objective question: what is happening in the world today? What is happening to the value? What has happened to the value of our national democracy and revolution? Are we still advancing the revolution, or Have we long lost our way? Are we not in fact reversing on our democracy that was earned in a very hard way? In our view as Contralesa, Mr. President, Secretary General of the SACP of South Africa, based on what we are witnessing in our country, some of those entrusted with responsibility to advance our revolution have chosen to betray our trust. They have embarked on a path narrow selfish interest of corruption and reckless indulgence. The betrayal has compromised our revolution in and eroding our legacy that was sacrificed by Comrade Joe Slovo and other ancestors of our struggle. We must be intelligent, brave, and wise enough to confront this reality honestly, so that we can correct and turn the things around. It is not too late if we can act now. We must not allow our country to be handed back to the remnant and the dogs of coloniality, Mr. President. Ngelizwi lokugcina mongameli, nawe secretary wamakomanisi wase South Africa, ivote lenu niyolithola emakhaya, in the rural areas, lapho kuphethe khona amakhosi. And leso sizwe mongameli sisathembekile, sisawuhlonipha umbutho, sisahlonipha i-revolution, sisahlonipha nekusasa lethu ukuthi liphethwe yilezi nhlangano esingazo namhlanje lapha. Kodwa mongameli nobhala, intuthuko ayifiki ngokulingana emakhaya. Ilizwi eliphuma kuContralesa. Secretary wamakomanisi, siyajabula-ke thina njenge-Contralesa ngaleya program yenu eniyibiza ukuthi Red Caravan for the People. Iyasebenza lapha emakhaya. Siyahlonipha-ke, qhubekani ngayo, ngoba isizwe esingakalambi asinayo i-crime, phansi nge-corruption phansi. Viva Communist Party, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva Sanco, viva! Viva Venezuela, viva! Ayiphile ingunaphakati iContralesa umbuso wamakhosi athoma i-ANC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nkosi Umahlangu, for that message on behalf of the Contralesa. Comrades, we are now moving very quickly. We are now going to call the real MK Amampela, MKLWV, Comrade Dan Hatu. Please come and speak on behalf of Amasoja Mkondo Wamampela.
Comrade Joe Slovo, long live. Long live the South African Communist Party, long live. Long live the African National Congress, long live. Long live COSATU, long live. Long live Sanco, long live. Long live the Alliance, long live. Amandla! Amandla! Long live international solidarity, long live. Amandla! Comrade President of the African National Congress, Comrade Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa. Comrade General Secretary, Comrade Solly Mapaila. The Ambassador of Venezuela. Leaders of the Tripartite Alliance. Members of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. The National, Provincial and Regional Leadership of the South African Communist Party. Comrades and friends. It's been 31 years since the passing of our former Chief of Staff, Comrade J.S. Standing in front of Comrade J.S.'s burial site, allow me leadership. On behalf of Umkhonto weSizwe Liberation War veterans, to make a call, even at this very late hour, to our leaders in the party and the African National Congress to save the alliance. It was built in blood. People sacrificed their lives for this alliance. This will make all of us in the progressive formations very proud. To understand as to why it is important for us to defend this alliance, I urge members of the South African Communist Party, members of the African National Congress, just to go and read a very small clip by Comrade J.S. in 1991 from the African Communist number 125, the second quarter, where he explained as to why this alliance needs to be understood for what it is. We need, comrades, as members of these two organizations, to understand where we're coming from with this alliance. Comrades, we do not only have the duty, but the responsibility to close ranks in the interest of our aspirational principles of freedom and democracy, in the interest of our ultimate national democratic revolution, to find one another. With the support of the party in the 1994 elections, today we're talking of the government of national unity. This was the case because of our own goals. Let's underline, because of our own goals, the trust deficit, unconvincing intentions to resolve these challenges. Today, the party has declared their intention to contest wall-to-wall in the forthcoming elections. We can almost foresee the results, and this can be prevented. That is why it is important for all of us as members, patriotic and honest members of these two organizations, to understand where the alliance is coming from, to understand the importance of this alliance. Here we are today at this solemn and revolutionary site, pretending to be united in the presence of Comrade Joe Slovo's spirit, commemorating his life and times, and an arrow is pointing at the breaking point of the very alliance he died defending. The very alliance he died defending. In 2 months' time, we'll be doing the same in Comrade Moses Mabida's anniversary. In 3 months' time, we'll be doing exactly the same in Comrade Chris Ani's commemoration. Comrades, to some of us, this seemed like the highest degree of being dishonest and sellout position to these leaders of the ANC, the party, and MK. They used their last breath for this alliance, even at the time it was extremely difficult to do so. These are the comrades that we slept with in the bushes of Angola.
Comrade JS at all times saw it necessary to go to the camps and brief the soldiers as to the situation in South Africa at a very difficult time. That is the Chief of Staff that we know. Comrade Chris Hani, we slept with him in the bushes of Angola when we were fighting the UNITA forces. We were trying to destabilize the government of Angola. These are the comrades who defended the alliance with their own lives. Comrades, as we converge here this morning, summoned by the spirit of Comrade JS, the wonderful gift we can think of as Umkhonto weSizwe Liberation War veterans, for our departed leaders, for the party and the ANC to find one another. Nothing is impossible in this regard. Comrades, and as Umkhonto weSizwe Liberation War veterans, we are not questioning the party contesting the state power. We used to sing about this scenario in our camps, that a time will come when the party will be the vanguard of the struggle for the socialist revolution in South Africa. This will be an era to reconfigure the pattern of the alliance. We believe this strategic time has not arrived. Let us not be deflected by these man-made challenges in the progressive forces. Today, the party, COSATU, and Sanco needs to mobilize and vote for the ANC because it is the appropriate political action to do. The ANC must not take this progressive formation's support for granted. We've done that in the past. We have taken the support Yamakomanisi for granted and put them in the periphery. Here we are today. Comrade SG of the ANC, Comrade President of the ANC, Comrade General Secretary of the party, this is our position as Umkhonto weSizwe Liberation War veterans. We'll continue pushing this position until the day of the elections. Please use the ways of JS in resolving these political challenges. We believe by doing so, you will be executing the mandate of our former Commander-in-Chief, Comrade President O.R. Tambo, and our former Chief of Staff, Comrade JS. May his soul rest in peace. Comrades, as we observe this important calendar date, the 31st anniversary of the passing of Comrade JS, the former Chief of Staff of the People's Army, Umkhonto weSizwe, the army that spearheaded one of the 4 pillars of our revolution, allow us to retrace our bond as the ANC and the party. The bond between the ANC and the party has been very magical. When things were bad in the ANC and the MK, through the wisdom of the party, leaders like Comrade JS, Babu Moses Mabhida, Ndate Dentlume, Chris Hani, and many more, the ANC would emerge once again to lead the struggle for liberation. It is not our place on occasions such as this to remind ourselves that certain positions, which are now regarded as commonplace in the party and the ANC, were pioneered and sponsored by a collective led by Comrade JS and President O.R. Tambo. Indeed, Comrade JS was an uncompromising warrior who always pledged unity, underline unity. At this time, when the narcissists are busy kidnapping sitting presidents, when the narcissists want to take over countries that have gone through democratic processes, we need that unity. How do we guarantee a house those who have departed before us, like our former Chief of Staff? Comrades, we know that the counter-revolutionary forces never took a break. They shifted the gear in 1994. Some of the events taking place today makes us wonder if they have not succeeded in dislodging the ANC. The sooner we realize this, the quicker we undo the damage. With these few words, comrades, we want to say as Umkhonto weSizwe, and in conclusion, as I stand at attention to salute the Lutuli detachment, the June 16th detachment, the Munkada detachment, the Sandwana detachment, the Madinoka detachment, the Young Lions detachment, and the Banimulugwane detachment, how can I leave the self-defense units and Namabuto, who trained
under the volley of fire of the enemy bullets inside the country. Comrade GS was part of this detachment. Comrade Solly Mapaila comes from this detachment. All what we say as Umkhonto Wesizwe, the soldiers of Umkhonto Wesizwe died for this alliance. The likes of Solomon Mahlangu, the likes of Zulu, all those who were hanged by the regime died defending this alliance. Amanda! Amanda! Long live Venezuela, long live! Amanda!
Thank you to the veterans. Thank you very much, Comrade Dan. A clear message which says forward to the unity of the alliance, forward. Despite the decisions which have been taken, but the alliance would still need to engage. That's what the comrade was appealing to the leaders. Even after the elections, we will need this revolutionary alliance. We are moving, comrades. We are moving. Sizawubiza ke ngoku abasebenzi. Oh, siqala ngeSanco. Yabona seke nijonge kaku president. Ngoba nayo iphethe le program. Sizawubiza iSanco. Comrade Mkungu. Silamulele Sanco. Silamulele Sanco. Silamulele Sanco. Safasape. Safasape. Safasapela Sanco. Safasape. Safasape. Amandla. Qina mhlali qina. Bethumnanda mhlali bethumnanda. Bethumnanda mhlali bethumnanda. Betha ke mhlali. Unqande apho ufuna kunqandwe khona.
Thank you very much, Program Director, who is our Deputy Chairperson National in SACP. General Secretary of SACP, Comrade Solly Mapaila, the entire CEC members, Central Committee members of the party, President of the ANC, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, the leadership of the ANC present here, the Deputy President of Sanco, Chris Malimacha, the leadership of Sanco present here, the President of Soweto, Comrade Zingiswa Losi, the entire CEC members of Soweto present here, the family of Comrade Joe Slovo, all comrades present in this gathering today, I greet you. I speak on behalf of Sanco with 6 million membership. Today as Sanco, we are deeply honored by the SACP invitation on this important occasion of remembering such an important revolutionary in our liberation struggle, Comrade Joe Slovo. Comrade Joe Slovo was an all-rounder of revolution, as other comrades previously spoke to. I'm so apologetic I forgot Amakosi. They are very much important to me. I do have Inkosi. I'm under Inkosi. In December, I was with Amakosi. I must never forget that part. They are the one who faced the initial struggle. Comrade Joe Slovo, a perfect example of how revolutionaries should both contribute to the struggle. All we want to do here as part of the message support is that as an all-rounder and a true revolutionary, he has made an indelible contribution in the following aspects. Just 5 points. She contributed in deepening political and ideological consciousness of our alliance and society, advancing the pursuit of the national democratic revolution, contributing to the armed struggle, pragmatic participation to the policy work of the struggle, advancing good governance and service delivery through alliance deployment to government. I thought it is befitting to commemorate our leader by elevating the above 5 points that best describes his character during a post-liberation struggle. Now, as Sanco, our posture within the current situation, comrades, is that the current situation serves as a challenge to us all within the alliance. But I want to emphasize the point that when the SACP convened National Congress, we were invited. We were part of the discussions. The National Congress of the SACP took a decision in their own right to contest the state. As Sanco, we were young. We were politically and ideologically trained by the leaders of the SACP and the ANC. We support the continued alliance, otherwise we'll face trouble if we are to discourage. We need these both organizations. We need the working class vanguard organization. We need the liberation movement. All we are calling as Sanco is that we should hold a special alliance summit to discuss the way forward, our approach to the national elections. I sometimes hear some people saying, Comrade General Secretary of the SACP took a decision to contest. We were represented there as Sanco. It was the National Congress of the SACP that took decision. We respect that as Sanco. All we have to do, comrades, is to make sure that we discuss our approach towards these elections. Comrade Chairperson was talking about possible or potential violence. There will be never any violence because the SACP is not our enemy. It's our ally. All these comrades that are here are our comrades. We've been in trenches all the time and we support each other. We will meet on the ground as comrades, not as enemies. We know our enemies. With regard to Venezuela, as Sanco, we condemn what has happened. It is inspired. It is inspired by the arrogance of America, and we are not going to tolerate that. We call upon the alliance to discuss and respond accordingly, Comrade President, to this nonsense that has been done by Trump. He is the enemy of the working class and he will always be the enemy of the class. For that, comrades, the Comrade Chair has warned us. It was just a message of support not the keynote address. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, President of Sanco. The message is clear, comrades. Whatever happens, we must come together as an alliance, discuss the protocols, because it's a fact now that we are contesting on the ground. But the issue of protocols, so that there's no chaos, there's no conflict, it's going to be important. But we take it to the other issues which are dividing us. And we can only resolve those issues through engagement, as you have said it, Comrade President of Sanco. That engagement remains very important. And I think that's what Comrade Dan from the veterans was also saying. We must not run away from one another. Let's engage and engage until the cows come back home. Devasebenzi manyanane. Devasebenzi manyanani bo. Devasebenzi manyanane. Vasebenzi manyanani bo. Oh, higama lenhlangano hikosatu, higama lenhlangano hikosa. Oh, higama
Mandla! Long live the SACP, long live! Long live the South African Communist Party, long live! Long live the ANC, long live! Long live COSATU, long live! Yeta Sanco, Yeta the PYA, Yeta Malibongwe Kama la makhosikazi Wathintu mama Sibonge umphathi Nkqubo, the Deputy National Chair wamakomanisi nonobhala wephondo uSihlalo, the General Secretary of the SACP Comrade Solly Mapaila, the entire leadership of the SACP, the leadership of the African National Congress, led by President Cyril Madamela, with the entire leadership of the ANC, the leadership of COSATU that is here, the CEC, the National Office Bearers, Sanco President, and the entire leadership of Sanco, leadership of our Mkondo Wesizwe War Veterans, Comrade Dan, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ngiyathokoza kumakhosi Ndabezitha Mahlangu nabo bonke abasiphetheyo ebukhosini. Comrade leadership, we are gathering here today on the 6th of January 2026 to honor 31 years since the passing of Comrade JS. Comrade JS, a revolutionary communist, a cadre of the working class, a leader who never separated ideas or principles from action. We do so leadership 32 years into our democracy, and we're doing so not to romanticize the past, but to confront the present and to shape the future. Comrade Joe Slovo reminded us that liberation is a process, not an event. Comrade JS warned us plainly that, and I quote, political democracy if it is not accompanied by economic democracy, we will always be a shallow and incomplete. And so, comrade leadership, today we want to speak directly to our realities that are confronting ourselves today. 32 years into democracy, capital still dominates the economy. Ownership remains racially and class-skewed, and the working class continues to be shut by unemployment, by poverty, by inequality and insecurity. Millions of our people in our country remain excluded from decent work. Young people continue to be denied a future. Women in our country continue to carry a double burden of exploitation and care. And comrades, this is not an accident. It is the outcomes of structural capitalism, reinforced by neoliberal policy choices that have also weakened the state. It is through privatization of the public goods. It is through commodification of basic services. And also it is because we've placed profits above the public. Comrade Joe Slovo warned us against this path. He said, if the state retreats from its responsibilities, the vacuum will be filled by private power, and private power is accountable only to profit. This is exactly what we are dealing with today. And so, comrade leadership, nowhere is the crisis more visible than in local government. Municipalities in our country that are meant to be the engine of development have become symbols of failure. Corruption, cadre erosion, outsourcing and administrative collapse have left our communities without water, without electricity, without sanitation, and without dignity. And so, as the Alliance, as we approach the local government elections, we must be honest with ourselves, and we must be honest with our people. Electoral support cannot be demanded. It must be earned through service delivery, through accountability, and through principled leadership. And this brings us to the state of our alliance. The alliance, comrades, as the previous speakers have said, was fought in struggle, not as an electoral pact, but as a strategic center of the working class power. Yet today, it is weakened by drift, by hesitation, by the marginalization of the working class voices in the decision-making of our country. And Comrade Joe Slovo cautioned us against abandoning the principles of convenience. Comrade JS insisted that unity without a clear program and class content is fragile, and it is easily captured by opportunism. And so, the alliance then must not exist only during elections. The alliance must exist in struggle. It must exist in our communities. It must exist in our workplaces. It must exist at a policy debate and policy battles. And when the alliance, comrades, retreats, reactionary forces advances. Where ideology is weakened, populism and corruption advances. And we must then be clear, leadership, that the unity of the working class does not fall from the sky. It must be organized, educated, and led. And so Comrade Joe Slovo was uncompromising on this point. And he said, and I quote, "Socialism will not come by default. It will only come through conscious organizations and struggle." And so this is our task confronting us today. We must also say as the Federation that we are meeting 6 days only in the new year. And the world has already been plunged into geopolitical turmoil of the kind that has been allowed to continue, the kind that can threaten the lives and livelihoods of millions across the world, but in particular, the lives of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela people. Yes. As a federation today, sifuna ukuthi, what we cannot do, comrades, we cannot return to the days of wild, wild west, where might is right and the sovereign choices of the world are trampled upon. And so as COSATU President, we want to welcome the principled call of our South African government for the United Nations to be seized with such matters and for all geopolitical and other disputes to be resolved in the appropriate multilateral institutions, and also in a manner that affirms the sovereign and democratic choices of all nations, and in particular of the people of Venezuela. And so, as the working class, comrades, we need a strong communist party. A communist party that is rooted in Marxism-Leninism. A communist party that is responsive to the material conditions of our people. A communist party that is fearless in confronting both capital and internal decay. We need unions that organize the unorganized. We need to politicize economic struggle. We need to defend the workers' unity across all sectors. Hence, COSATU welcomes the invitation by NUMSA to have a meeting to wedge a way forward of how we're going to unite the workers in our country. And so what is then to be done as we honor Joe Slovo? Comrade leadership, we must remember Joe Slovo, it was said, was a leader of the SACP and the ANC. He was the living embodiment of the alliance. So firstly, we must rebuild the alliance as a strategic center of power, where working class interests lead and not follow. Because for us, as a federation, comrades, this is fundamental. Secondly, Chair, we must recenter the state as a developmental instrument capable of planning, of owning and delivering in the public interest. We must also advance a radical economic program. We must industrialize public ownership in strategic centers of our economy. We must create jobs, and we must fight corruption and incompetency. And lastly, Chair, we must invest decisively in political education, in cadre development, and in the revolutionary discipline. And so, as I end, Joe Slovo taught us that communists must be honest with the people, firm in principle, and bold in action. Comrade JS rejected cynicism. He rejected surrender. He believed that the working class, once they are organized and they are conscientized, they are unstoppable. And therefore, to honor Joe Slovo, let us not only quote him, Chair, but ours is to continue his struggle, is to organize where despair is growing, is to educate where confusion reigns. It is to lead where the working class demands direction. And we want to say, as this federation, kasisiya ku-local government election, sizawuya singumbimbi. Sizawuhamba siphinde kwakhona siwubuyisela umbimbi sihlalo, ukhokele uMzantsi Afrika womelele. Siyabulela.
Amandla, qina msebenzi qina, phansi nge-corruption phansi, forward to service delivery, forward. Nivili message, comrades. This message from all the speakers is the same. The issue of accountability, service or basic services to our people. The issue of discipline has been central in what the comrades have been saying. I-ANC yasetshenzelwa, alala i-ANC yasetshenzelwa, alala yasetshenzela, alala yoyo yasetshenzela, halala yoyo yasetshenzela, i-ANC yasetshenzelwa, halala u-ANC uyasetshenzelwa, halala hayithengwa ngethenda, halala yoyo yasetshenzela. Imani bo, my comrades. Imani comrades. Order. Now, comrades, I'm going to call the leader of the alliance, which is the African National Congress. I'm going to call the president of the African National Congress, who's also the president of the Republic. He's among the men. Comrades, can we listen? Comrades, even if i-ATL yanifuni kanimameleni comrades. Comrades, order, comrades, order. Comrades, order. Order, comrades. Order, comrades. Order, comrades. Comrades, order. Order, comrades. Order, comrades. Comrades, there's one thing which I want you to do. You don't do what other people do in other organizations. When you disagree, you start booing. Listen to the message, and we continue to the message. Comrade, order. Please comrade. Comrade, order. Please Amanda. SACP, viva! Viva the South African Communist Party, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva Soweto, viva! Viva Sanco, viva! Manta! Comrades, comrades, program directors, comrade general secretary of the SACP, comrade Solly Mapaila, members of the SACP Central Committee who are here present, leaders of the ANC, who are members of the NEC, members of the Provincial Committee in Gauteng, and members and leaders of the Regional Committee of Johannesburg who are here, the leadership of Contralesa, the representatives of the broader democratic movement, and representatives of various embassies who are also here, but more especially
the ambassador of Venezuela. I bring you greetings from the African National Congress and say that we are honored to deliver this message on behalf of the African National Congress as we gather to commemorate the revolutionary life of Isitwalandwe Siaparamkwe Joe Slovo. This year our country will mark the 30th anniversary of the adoption of our democratic constitution. We will also mark the 65th anniversary of the establishment of the People's Army Umkhonto weSizwe. Comrade Joe Slovo played a central role in these pivotal moments in the history of our movement and our country. These moments shaped our struggle and the society in which we live today. Contained in our Constitution are some of the fundamental principles and values to which Joe Slovo dedicated his entire life. If we are to realize the rights that are contained in our Constitution that Comrade Joe Slovo helped to shape and to draft, we must undertake the fundamental transformation of all aspects of our people's lives. We must undo the devastating legacy of colonialism and apartheid. We must give practical effect to the call of the Freedom Charter that the people shall share in the country's wealth and that the people shall govern. We must also dedicate ourselves to the struggles that Comrade Joe Slovo dedicated his life to. The fight against unemployment, against poverty and inequality. Joe Slovo was the epitome of everything that our struggle has been about. Comrade Joe Slovo wanted workers in our country, and particularly workers who are united under the banner of our federation, COSATU, and all other workers who still need to be organized to work under conditions of employment that are preferable. Black and women South Africans must take their rightful place in all areas of the economy in our country. These are the tasks that Comrade Joe Slovo dedicated himself to. These are also tasks that our alliance is committed and determined to undertake. These are also the tasks that were reaffirmed by the ANC's 5th National General Council held last month. The NGC declared that national renewal and rejuvenation must be anchored by an effective developmental path for growth and social equity. Comrade Joe Slovo understood that equality necessarily meant that all people everywhere deserved the rights that are embedded in our Constitution, which, as I said, he helped to draft. Comrade Joe Slovo was an internationalist who fought not only for the liberation of the people of South Africa, but for the people of our continent and the people across the world. It is this principle that continues to guide our international work, as inspired by the views, the principles, and the positions that Comrade Joe Slovo took. It guides our consistent stance on solidarity with the peoples of Palestine, Western Sahara, Cuba, and everywhere where people are denied their legitimate right to self-determination. The principle guides our support for the United Nations Charter and the need for international law as the foundation for relations between nations. That is why, as a country, we have stood firm in support of the people of Gaza as they face a genocidal onslaught that has caused untold suffering, destruction, hardship, and death. That is why we are standing firm with the people of the Sudan as the civil strife in that country continues to cause horrific death and displacement. It is our commitment to international law and the United Nations Charter that informs our deep concern and action of the United States in Venezuela, which has undermined the territorial integrity and sovereignty of a UN member state called Venezuela. We reject utterly the actions that the United States has embarked upon and stand with the people of Venezuela. And we demand the release of President Maduro and his wife as well. We reiterate our call for decisive action by the United Nations Security Council to fulfill its mandate and advance peace and security and uphold the rule of law. The National Executive Committee of the African National Congress yesterday issued a clear statement and a call rejecting what has been done in Venezuela and calling upon the immediate release of President Maduro. It is the principles of equality and justice that inform our call for those countries that have historically contributed most to issues that are now troubling the world. The geopolitical turmoil that we are seeing, issues such as climate change, and a whole number of issues that are causing inequality across the world. As we say in the strategy and tactics document of the African National Congress, we seek to build a society based on the best in human civilization. We say this society should find expression in the management of human relations based on political equality and social inclusivity. As we work to build such a society, it is important that we reflect on the life and the legacy of Joe Slovo. From his thinking, from his actions, and from his revolutionary character, there is a rich store of lessons from which we should draw as we build a united, just, and free society. Comrade Joe Slovo was a great strategist, born of a deep understanding of the injustices of our society and the means through which they would be overcome.
at key moments at the formation of Umkhonto Wesizwe during our as well as during our negotiated transition to democracy, during the drafting of our constitution, Joe Slovo provided leadership, intellectual rigor, and direction as well. He was able to demonstrate how inaction or adherence to tactics that no longer serve their purpose could set back the liberation struggle. The achievement of the democratic breakthrough of the 27th of April in 1994 was made possible by bold decisions and decisive moments. It was made possible by a proper reading of the changing circumstances and the identification of the most effective actions to take to advance our overall objectives. Throughout our history, we have been able to make great advances by holding firm to our strategic objectives while being flexible in our tactics. To meet the challenges of the present, we need to revive the culture of political thought and debate within the liberation movement. There is a temptation, now that we live in a constitutional democracy, to consider ideological debate and political analysis as being of little importance. Foremost in our minds are the practical tasks of governing, of contesting elections, providing services to citizens, of encouraging investment and creating employment. And yet these tasks are located in an economic, political, social, and cultural context. If we are to build the society that we want to achieve, we need to understand the context in which we are operating and living. We need to demonstrate the kind of intellectual honesty and rigor that characterized the work of Joe Slovo and other great theorists of our movement. We should draw on the example of Joe Slovo's leadership. He occupied several positions of great importance within the liberation movement. As the first white member of the ANC National Executive Committee, as the General Secretary of the Communist Party, as the Chief of Staff of Umkhonto Wesizwe. And as we noted before, he occupied all these positions not because he sought them, but because he was recognized by his comrades, by his compatriots, as being an outstanding leader of proven capability. He was fearless in his critical examination of our struggle and our movement. He understood that an honest and balanced assessment of the state of our organization and its place in society is essential if we are to grow stronger and to be more effective. Comrade Joe Slovo understood critical reflection as a vital part of renewal, which was foremost among the priorities identified by the ANC's National General Council. The NGC said that for the National Democratic Revolution to be advanced and accelerated, the ANC needs to be renewed as the leader of change. This needs to take place alongside, yes, the renewal of the Revolutionary Alliance itself. This renewal requires far-reaching structural and organizational changes and the way we function. It also requires a return to the foundational values and principles of our movement. Renewal itself demands that all structures and processes are founded on democratic practices. Those elected to leadership positions should implement all agreed programs and ensure that mechanisms of mandate and accountability are robust. Renewal also involves the continuous development of members and leaders. It involves the building of formidable structures to ensure that the alliance is an effective instrument of liberation in the hands of the people. As a leader of the ANC, Comrade Joe Slovo, also as a leader of the SACP and Contralesa, understood the respective roles, responsibilities and objectives of each of the alliance partners, including the progressive trade union movement. He played an important role over time in shaping how these formations worked together and in developing their common program of action. For him, that is Joe Slovo, the relationship between the ANC and the SACP was vital, and it was non-negotiable. Over many decades, the SACP has been central to refining the ANC's strategic outlook. In fact, truth be told, it has always been the SACP that has always given theoretical content to our struggle. Like many of the leaders of the Communist Party, Comrade Joe Slovo captured political moments with precision to enable the shaping of a vision of our future. As we face new challenges as the alliance, and in some ways, comrades, as we differ over issues such as the contestation of elections, we need to draw on the historic wisdom and legacy of a comrade like Joe Slovo. We need to prioritize the advancement of the national democratic revolution and the realization of our shared goal of a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous society. Yes, we need to continue engaging, because it is through engagement that we are able to find one another. Our movement has always drawn a great deal of strength and wisdom from continuous engagement, not walking apart. The ANC is on record as saying the decision which we respect by the party to go in and run for elections on its own, will be a historic mistake. It will weaken the alliance, it will distract our people from knowing who to vote for, and the very issue that is being punted about state power could be wrested from our hands. We therefore need to pay attention to what can weaken us. We should at all times look at what can strengthen the alliance with a view of advancing the national democratic revolution. But of course, having said that, we say that with respect to the decisions that have been taken. We must recognize that we are custodians, all of us as the alliance of the national democratic revolution. We are also the custodians of the Revolutionary Alliance, an alliance in which the people of this country have invested so much hope and expectation. We must protect the alliance, strengthen it, and unite it. And that is why we are pleased that even as we differ, we are still able to get together as we are today. We are still able to attend each other's events. Yes, and we look forward to the party attending the January 8th celebrations to join the African National Congress in your great numbers, showing your red t-shirts at the African National Congress celebrations. As the ANC has also come here in our great numbers, we must, comrades, continue to ensure that the alliance becomes an ever more effective instrument of fundamental social and economic change. Now, despite the disagreements of the present, our common objective remains the same: the achievement of the National Democratic Society. It is our responsibility as leaders and also as members of all alliance formations to continue working together in pursuit of this common objective. As we do so, we must draw on the strategic insight, on the integrity, on the political honesty, and the commitment and deep humanity of Comrade Joe Slovo. As we commemorate the passing of one of the giants of our liberation movement, let us honor his contribution by continuing to strive to realize the free and equal society to which he and so many others dedicated their lives. This is a special day on which we need to imbue ourselves in the thinking of Joe Slovo and remember his great legacy as one of the outstanding sons of South Africa. So we want to thank the SACP for continuing to honor Comrade Joe Slovo, who was not only a leader of the SACP but a leader of the ANC as well, to honor him continuously on this day. And so therefore the African National Congress congratulates you and continues to thank you in all that you do to honor the legacy of Comrade Joe Slovo. And of course, we also must continue to thank you and honor you for continuing to honor the legacies of other comrades, like Comrade Moses Mabhida, Comrade Chris Hani, and many others, Comrade Moses Kotane and many others. The SACP, indeed, as a strong part of the alliance, continues in the tradition of making sure that we uphold the flag of the alliance that has been handed down through generations to all of us who now live as leaders and members of this alliance. So we thank you, and thank you for commemorating Comrade Joe Slovo. Amandla! Amandla! Long live Comrade Joe Slovo, long live! Amandla!
Uyayibalekisa man lengo. Ubuyibalekisa ngokungathi kuyajive kwaito. Thank you, comrades. Amandla. Amandla. Thank you, President Ramaphosa. And I like what you emphasize at the end, that despite the differences, we continue to come together. We continue with the activities together. And you were here even last year when we met. And I think that has set a tone for the leadership of the Alliance. That in all the activities by each of the allies, we must all be there. Because we are continuing with the unity of the Alliance. We are pursuing the revolution together. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Comrades, ngesixhosa sifikelele kuvuthondaba. Athi amaXhosa ke ngundoqo. Eyona nto besize ngayo apha. Zonke zezinye into were just messages of support. But they were relevant to what we are doing. Now we are going to call the son of the soil from the East End, who has been in the youth structures of the movement, who has been part and parcel of rebuilding the alliance structures, starting from the ANC to the SACP and even to the unions. I want an internet disruptor and more. Thank you, comrades. Comrades, thank you very much. Comrades, I don't want to call you by names. Just be disciplined. Comrades. Comrades, the Comrade General Secretary is well known to you. He was an organizer in the party, built the structures. And at some stage he became the Deputy General Secretary. And now is the General Secretary. But I want to warn the comrades. What has been emphasized here is discipline. And comrades, deliberately, we didn't call some of you by names. But that is misbehavior. We don't want it. We don't want the disruption. All we need the people to listen to the chair. Now the General Secretary is going to speak, and then we must listen carefully to what he's saying. The howling is not helping. Over to you, Jess.
Amandla, Matla, all power. Long live the Alliance, long live. Forward to socialism, forward. Down with capitalism, down. Down with imperialism, down. Down with the USA, down. No, Comrade Chairperson, Comrade Tulas, together with Comrade Mandla, Professor Hadebe, thank you very much for giving me this time to share our message as we celebrate Comrade Joe Slovo. Let me start by greeting the leadership of the SACP, our officials, Comrade Joyce Muloy Moropa, Comrade Madala Masuku, David Masondo, Comrade Tulas Ngesi, and members of the Central Committee and leaders of our provinces. And I want to welcome especially the leader of our party in Moses Mabhida, that is KZN, Comrade Mdlalos, who's attending this for the first time, and is called leaders. Thank you very much. Let me greet the President of the ANC, also the President of our Republic, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and the leadership of the ANC, the DSG, Comrade Maruping, Ramokhupa, members of the NEC, and the chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, Comrade Panyaza, as well as yeah, it's a sign that you are the chairperson of this province, Panyaza. I must also indicate that some of our comrades had an accident on their way here. Comrade Jacob Mamabulo, our Provincial Secretary, and Comrade Madala Masuku have left the scene to see what can be done and to assist that situation. We hope nothing seriously bad has happened, but we wish our comrades speedy recovery. Let me greet the leadership of all ANC members and leaders are recognized. The leadership of COSATU, Comrade President Zingiswa Losi. Because I didn't say something about what the President of the ANC said, I can't continue to say what you said. But you almost took from my notes. Comrade President, you spoke very well as well on Joe Slovo. Comrade Duncan Lubuno, the second Deputy President of COSATU, Comrade Gerald Twala, the Deputy General Secretary of COSATU, and Central Executive Committee members of COSATU in their numbers here. And I must mention specifically one leader of our affiliates, not Comrade Zingiswa, against other affiliates. But this comrade donated us a banner to commemorate Joe Slovo today. That's Nehau. So Comrade December, Seabong. Seabong and Nehau. And all the leaders of COSATU present here, including the provincial leaders of COSATU. And greet indeed the president of Sanco, Comrade Richard Nkongi, as well as the entire leadership, the deputy president, Comrade Chris Marimaja, as well as other leaders of Sanco present here, and to also thank your speech on this occasion.
Sorry for disrupting you. Comrades, you are not journalists. Please, can you all, the journalists are seated here and people want to see. That's why there's a bit of commotion. Thank you.
Mr. is not a journalist. It's disrupting our people. Comrade Mr. escaped. Let me also, as I recognize the entire leadership of Sanco at various levels, also recognize the ambassador of Venezuela, Comrade Carlos Peu, its ambassador plenipotentiary in South Africa, who was reporting directly to President Nicolas Maduro. I know you lost a dear comrade under this current setback, but we will recover, Comrade Carlos. And I must from the beginning indicate, so that if I summarize my speech, I don't come to that detail. We are organizing a march to the US Embassy on Thursday. All the alliance components, everyone in South Africa is invited. The US should never know peace in our country when they destabilize other countries. And all the comrades from Venezuela who are here from the embassy of Western Sahara, Charge d'Affaires, and other embassies present here, they are well recognized. Comrade Mlungisi Makanya, President of Pudemo in Swaziland, together with his leadership, comrades who are in exile in South Africa, we appreciate your presence here when you also spoke on behalf of the African continent, including of the comrades from Sudan who are currently in war. And acknowledge all other international guests, Communist Party of Zimbabwe, as well as International Solidarity Movement of the comrades who are ostracized in Ukraine by the stooge of imperialism, Vladimir Zelensky. So we appreciate your presence here. We can also see the banner here, Comrade Ian, against this anti-fascist regime of Ukraine. And recognize Undabezita Mahlangu and the leadership of Contralesa, and appreciate your presence here and your message, and especially appreciate the manner in which Contralesa leaders and traditional leaders across our country have received the Communist Party in their different communities when we are embarking on the People's Red Caravan, where we stay with the villagers throughout the week and sleep where they stay, and stay with them, eat with them, work with them to improve their lives. And we have found the role of traditional leaders more inspiring and welcoming. We appreciate that as the SACP. And all leaders of Contralesa were present here. And also recognize the National Secretary of our Young Communist League, Comrade Mzwandile Takudi, who's teacher. So the comrades say, yeah, we speak really like a teacher. It's a young teacher. When his tenure comes to an end, he must go back to a school to train communists from the grassroots. As well as the leadership of the Young Communist League present here, much appreciated. The leadership of Umkhonto Wesizwe Liberation War Veterans, led by Commander Dan Hatu, and all commanders and commissars of the heroic, glorious People's Army, Umkhonto Wesizwe. Sukzwile Commandir. Straightforward, the way you used to do it in Umkhonto Wesizwe camps, but also back home, the straightforwardness of Umkhonto Wesizwe. The combatants who were prepared to give their life for the liberation that we enjoy today, and others gave their lives, including our Chief of Staff and Commander Krizan, and General Secretary of the Communist Party. And great Comrade Menzi, who's representing inhlangano yamahostela. Siyabonga ngomlayezo. And you are present here. Comrades, because we started late, I'm going to cut short my speech. Ideally, this is the time that we're supposed to be finishing in 13 minutes from now, as per our program. And our program directors must know this. They need to learn this. When we delay our time, as the main speaker, I'll also cut my time. I don't like this thing of leaders saying whatever time they speak, they read every sentence of what is prepared for them, irrespective of the inconvenience of the people. So I'll try and summarize as much as is possible. Comrades, we gather at a moment of historical importance, a period of deep reflection as we start a new year that we want to wish all our people a good 2026. It's a year that started with bad news about the reaction of imperialism of the United States as they tried to invade Venezuela. They launched a military operation, attacked Venezuela, attacked its territorial integrity, attacked its national sovereignty, abducted its president, as well as his spouse, Comrade Celia Flores, and President Nicolas Maduro. They treated him, injured him, denigrated him, disrespected him. That disrespect and cowardly act was a disrespect to all of us in the world. All of us who suffered under colonialism. But I must say, Latin America will never go back. President Maduro represents a movement. Venezuela has been building the most exciting socialism in the world. That socialism cannot be broken, not by weapons, not by steel. It's a conscious socialism. In this regard, we call for his immediate release, unconditional release. We want the US government to stop these concocted charges against President Maduro. I was listening to Professor Jeffrey Sachs a couple of days ago, President, who was giving us a statistic that the USA has attacked and invaded 70 countries since 1947. This is a butcher state, it's a rogue state, a terrorist state, yes, a criminal state, a gangster state, a mafia state. The worst is that now a moron is in charge, is in power in the most powerful country in the world. I think this questions how society must now interface with democracy. Because we can have such kind of fellows responsible for nuclear weapons. You can imagine 150 military planes attacking Venezuela, a small Latin American country. We don't even have that kind of military planes ourselves. A most developed African country for that matter. This attitude of the United States and imperialists in Europe who were muted, could not condemn what Donald Trump was doing, must come to an end. We in the South will never accept this to happen. We will fight for our independence until we die, all of us. On this grave of Comrade Joe Slovo and martyrs of our revolution who are lying here, this is a hero's acre where we are, lies Comrade Joe Slovo and many other leaders of our liberation movement. We are here to honor his revolutionary life and his enduring contribution to our liberation struggle and to the better life of our people that he gave his life for. Joe Slovo was not just a communist, He was a people's commander of our glorious heroic People's Army, Umkhonto weSizwe, a strategist, a leader of the African National Congress in his own right, and a leader of the SACP, and a disciplined servant of the working class. He had warned us that political democracy on its own will not be sufficient if left to the power and dictates of capital. In other words, the power of the working class, of the capitalist class, if left intact, you can never guarantee the well-being of the people. This is the basis in which imperialism has gone rogue, because the people in Venezuela decided to take power to themselves. Even PSUV, the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, as an example, it's not organized like us. It's organized organically from the masses. It's a mass movement for socialism. It's not a typical political party. So they can't destroy such a movement. This is the kind of the movement that we will be building here in South Africa as we build the People's Red Caravan on the ground. Under capitalism, the legacy of inequality will continue to persist. Today, Comrade President, and all of you, Comrade Joyce Slovo and Comrade Zingi, Comrade Richard, when we talk about unemployment that is so high, Comrade Mzwandile spoke at length about this question, including challenges facing the youth. When we speak about poverty and hunger in our communities, in the richest country on the African continent, South Africa, we have hunger, Comrade President. We have people who are dying because they cannot afford food. Yet we have people who are in hospital because of overeating. I'm not talking about you, Comrade Chief Sitole. Mabutu. Yeah, now we're not going to tell her. Now we're going to tell her. I'm calling now. Nkuluma ngesibili. Ezidla kakhulu zizezigule ziyesibhedlela ngokuthi zidla kakhulu kodwa abantu balambile abanakudla. That's the contradiction of a capitalist society. The super rich on the one hand and the super poor on the other hand. These conditions, comrade, do not rise from bad luck. They arise from a capitalist system that prioritizes profits over people and over human dignity. So in line with our commemorations theme, building people's power, self-reliance, and a people's economy, which will be advancing going forward, we want to call on our members, the SACP, as well as comrades in our alliance, and our communities, and the trade union movement particularly, to build strong organizations on the ground, and to build socially conscious youth and women's organizations, so that ordinary people can be the active makers of history rather than spectators. That's what the People's Red Caravan is about. It's about self-reliance, and in our perspective, self-reliance does not mean abandonment of the state. We reject neoliberal idea that poor communities must survive on their own while corporations benefit from public resources through massive injection in trying to prep up capital when our communities are living in poverty. We are saying, for self-reliance, we need to build collective capacity in our communities of cooperatives, of community production. And we have started already with community production of food. In the areas that we have been, we have launched 4 People's Red Caravans already. In the Northwest Province in Motlabe, in Matibidi in Mpumalanga, in Mkekezweni in the Eastern Cape, in Ganspan in the Northern Cape. In all of those, life will never be the same. If the Communist Party focuses on protecting these programs properly, within a year or so, those communities will never run out of food. That's why, comrades, when we are entering a people's economy, we've been making calls for this and not doing it. Now we are entering the terrain of doing rather than only the terrain of theorizing. Mao Zedong has taught us that theory without practice is incorrect. So in other words, he says, You learn more from practice where you develop theory, as much as you expand more on theory itself. But comrades, our municipalities, which are the sphere of government closest to our people, they are not in good shape. The municipalities are critical. They allocate land, for instance, Ndabezit, Matlam. They allocate and lead local economic development. They deal with problems of water, sanitation, waste removal, public transport, as well as informal trading spaces. When they collapse, it is the poor and the working class who suffer the most. Further aggravated by corruption and outsourcing, austerity, tender-based patronage system, our municipalities have been undermined and almost lost government credibility. Comrade President, we have had several visits when we were seated there of members of the class. I know that the security team, I want to appreciate that they were restrained. Not that way, the security, the president in particular. Because you restrain yourself. Because this is how we are organized here. The working class visited you several times there and they said many things, practical things on the ground. All of them about the loss of respect and deficit, trust deficit they have on local government. These are the issues that they were raising. The SACP is entering the local government elections in 2026, which will be a crucial terrain of class struggle. This will not be another bureaucratic exercise. We are entering the battles of who governs at local government at the interest of the working class. In other words, we are coming to determine a new social path of municipalities. It is within this context, comrade, that we have resolved to participate independently in elections, which we characterize as a necessary option for defending working class interests and defending the national democratic revolution. This decision, comrades, is not an attack on the alliance. It is not even hostile to the African National Congress or to COSATU or Sanco. It is rather the exercise of working class political independence within a framework of a revolutionary alliance. It is not about division. This is about building real unity, not unity of silence in the face of corruption and even betrayal. But we are talking about principled unity, ethical and working class-led unity. It is in this regard, comrades, that sometime in March, we will convene ourselves a People's Manifesto Conference, wherein communities will come together, trade unions, informal traders, youth, women, faith-based activists, progressive professionals, and all formations of the working class to determine their own manifesto. But the principal thing, comrades, is that and Comrade Dan, and it's very important that we clarify this thing every time this matter is raised. The SACP is always for unity of the alliance, the unity of our people, unity of revolutionaries. We know unity is a weapon of struggle, without which we are divided. It can never be our intention to divide the movement. Our intention is to unify the movement. At the moment, what is dividing us in the movement is the neoliberal agenda of government. This is the principal contradiction that has entered the divisions inside the alliance. Without this, comrades, without us entering the electoral terrain, we have no basis to ever recover as the alliance. This is our determination. And this determination came after more than 22 years of strategic discussions and analysis of the Communist Party about the situation in our country. We don't hate anyone, but we love the working class. We love ourselves too. We cannot allow our revolution to be hijacked in our presence, and we are happy about it because we want some positions also. We have said it, comrades, and I've seen some of the comrades with short memories, including some in the media, that Mapaila is leading this because he wants to go to government. No. I have said it on my election day that I do not want to go to government. I will not go to government. I do not want to. At an appropriate time, when we are transitioning to socialism, maybe it might be interesting to build a different system. Not now. I'm not going to government. So those who are saying we are taking this decision because we do not have deployment, I do not care about deployments. I don't want deployments of anybody. I served in the ANC Deployment Committee on behalf of the SACP for several years. Not once did I ever raise my name. I've been invited by various presidents to come to government. I've said no. Even the SACP said go to government. I've said no. So this is not personal. It's about the working class. That's the agenda that we want to transform in our country. Our commitment to the alliance, comrades, remains firm. We recognize the historic unity forged in struggle between the ANC and the SACP and Soweto and ultimately Sanco. This must be unity of principle. We will defend the alliance best when we defend the working class and advance socialist-oriented transformation as South Africa, as South African Communist Party. For Joe Slovo, socialism was also not a distant dream. It was the logical and necessary stage of the National Democratic Revolution in which the masses can free themselves from all forms of exploitation. They don't have to wait until so many years. Our revolution, comrades, compared to many others, and this is the question that we've raised in our discussion document. We have had too much time. Our people have been too much patient with us. Comrade President, you cannot find a revolution which people have been so patient like the South African Revolution. With so much resources presiding over poverty. Even the studies of the IMF and the World Bank, they get shocked when they analyze the economic situation of South Africa. I will jump the section that deals with geostrategic international situation because many comrades have spoken about it, but safe to say, the reason for, no, this is very critical, let me not jump on it completely. Because the reason for US behavior today is precisely because its power is weakening. Yes. The US influence in the world is weakening. It's like a bully. When you confront a bully, you will be shocked how apologetic they can be. The day the US is properly confronted, they will have their tail between their legs. But this relative decline of US productive power and over-reliance on financial and military cohesion will come to an end because there's a rise in new centers of accumulation and new centers of power, whereas in China, in Asia, and in Eurasian integration, including in the relationship between the BRICS countries, we should move towards a strategic power bloc, economic power bloc, that should not care much about what the US is doing. But it must reach a state where it can defend one another. I must really say, I did not sleep for 2 days after the abduction of President Nicolas Maduro, trying to think about the international situation. I've been extremely disturbed internally. Moya wami uphansi kakhulu ngale senzakalo sase-Venezuela senziwa America. But multipolar world system, comrades, it's necessary and it's evolving. It will come. It will not allow, where it will not care whether the US bully other countries and so forth, like what they've tried to do now. They've threatened other countries. Colombia. Comrade Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, I feel sorry for him because already the US has military bases in Colombia, even without the permission of the Colombians. So they can activate anything that they've done on President Maduro, on Comrade Gustavo Petro. But he has said it clearly that he will defend his country. He would rather be imprisoned himself than sell out his people. This is the courage of leaders that we want across the world. At the same time, the material shift in productive forces towards Asia and the global south, and the South-to-South cooperation and alternative developments that are coming, which are leaving the US behind, and the de-dollarization of the South countries and these new powers that are emerging, has really rattled the US imperial system. It is this that has made them more arrogant. At the same time, comrades, the US has weaponized trade, finance, and international law. We can't fight toe-to-toe with the US. Like Venezuela can't fight toe-to-toe with the US. It doesn't have that kind of military might. We were in Venezuela with Comrade Madala in September. When we were there, Comrade Carlos, ambassador, already Venezuela was surrounded by warships from the US. We went there to give solidarity to the Venezuelans. They still sent more, including their nuclear-powered warship. I mean, what kind of relations is this? So this geostrategic change is taking place in the world, and the rebirth of colonialism, which the US is the midwife, must be responded to and be defeated. They made further threats against Iran. They made threats against Cuba, revolutionary Cuba. They failed to defeat Cuba for more than 60 years. They ostracized Cuba, put terrible sanctions against Cuba so that they throttled that economy from growing. So they can say, look at socialism. Cuba had survived. Venezuela was the most sanctioned country now, almost recently, just before they abducted President Maduro. It even overtook Iran and North Korea. It is now almost behind the Russian Federation. So this threat to other countries, including to Greenland, must be condemned with the contempt that it deserves. But we have said, comrades, even in Mexico and other places that the US government is threatening to attack them, the working class across the world must rise up against US imperialism. Of course, even in Asia, the US is playing with fire. They've gone to Asia. They are threatening another war in the Taiwan Strait. They are prepping up Taiwan, a province of China. They are giving it more arms so that it can rebel and fight against the mainland China. They say they support one China policy in words, but indeed they are arming the Taiwanese so that the Taiwanese can fight against their own blood. They use imperialism's dual tactic, provocation and pretended mediation. The US imperialism follows this consistent pattern to escalate contradictions, militarize tensions, then posture as a neutral mediator. This is not diplomacy, it is managed chaos that must be exposed for what it is in order for them to preserve hegemony. Lenin had warned us, the father of modern socialism, that imperialism is the epoch of financial capital and monopolies, which introduce everywhere the striving for domination, not for freedom. So they use these two. But in Taiwan, they're not going to succeed. They're facing a nuclear-powered country. One of the most advanced countries that is now surpassing the US in productive capacity, a socialist-led country, China. Now, China has demonstrated just a couple of weeks ago that it's going to defend its territorial integrity. It demonstrated through the Taiwanese Strait military drills to prepare themselves for any eventuality. We say we support China particularly in its defense of its territorial integrity. At the same time, comrades, the US orchestrated this catastrophe in Ukraine, together with their European counterparts. They tried to neutralize the Russian Federation after the fall of the Soviet Union. They violated all conventions. It is useless to enter into agreement with the United States of America. They don't respect any agreement with any other country. They launched the maiden coup in 2014 that brought this clown Zelensky into power. They sabotaged the Minsk agreement. They now act as a mediator in this war when they are actually the arms dealer and supplier of arms to Ukraine through Europe, while they are disguising themselves as mediator. They are no mediator. So these weapons that they have, for instance, just a couple of days, some drones were even launched to attack President Putin's home. We have condemned this, and we continue to condemn this double-sided US system. And we say to our comrades in Russia, they must be careful. When they deal with the US, they are dealing with their hyena. Their hyena eats you and eats you with your bones. That's why they can provoke even attack on President Putin's house, which we condemn in the strongest term possible, because this is no way, in any way, the support for peace. We remain grateful that the Russian leadership has restrained itself given its military power. Of course, Comrade President, it is quite clear. This question of a peace zone in Africa and in Latin America, nuclear-free zone, must be reconsidered by the leadership. If President Maduro was properly armed to defend that country proper, even with the nuclear weapons, the US would not have done what they've done. That's why they can't play in Iran. They tried themselves, but they can't play there. Even in North Korea. The SACP itself has to debate this question. Because lack of security, when we have got so much people, such few countries like the US, so well armed against the rest of us in the world, is not good for peace. Lastly, comrade, let me say something about our alliance. Our alliance, comrades, the National Democratic Revolution, is facing some serious challenges. It's under severe constraint. And the National Democratic Revolution, which is a program to liberate our people completely, to end poverty, and create a non-racial society of commonhood of South Africanship, it's facing a major challenge because the economy, as Comrade Zizo was saying, still remains in the hands of minority monopoly capital. This monopoly capital is largely represented by a white minority, a minority of the minority. Slovo, who was a white comrade and a white compatriot, fought for the liberation of the majority, even against the white minority. He could have enjoyed the benefits as a white man, but he forgo all those benefits so that he can fight for all our people, particularly the working class. Our people are still suffering from labor brokering, poverty wages, the workers, unsafe working conditions, relentless attacks on collective bargaining, including by government under our leadership. Communities are enduring collapsing public services because of austerity. Comrade President, when the people are complaining about public services, the central pillar before we blame workers is the fact that one nurse It's not possible for that nurse to look after 200 persons in a single day. That's the effect of austerity. When there are long queues, the police can't respond to communities. We were in Hanspan. The station commander says to us, the community are complaining about the lack of response by the police. The station commander says to us, I went to meet with him. He says, we have got 9 personnel here, 2 on the station, 2 on leave, 1 family commitment, 2 using the van when they respond to problems. And he said there was another couple that was not there for whatever reasons. And there was an accident that was reported after another van has gone out. He asked them if there's no one injured, if they can take pictures and come to the police station. Those people arrived when I was having a meeting with him. It's lack of personnel because of austerity measures, because we are chasing profit rather than servicing the people. The state can never be bulgy. The state must be built to provide public services. And as a sovereign state, we must create resources to look after public servants. Our revolution, comrades, is facing a major crisis. The crisis that we control political power and yet we do not control economic power. In other words, this is un-Marxist as well to say it in this form, but it's for simplification. Because politics is concentrated economics in Marxism. So these are not separated. So in other words, when we look at the economic conditions gives you the posture of politics. That is what we call political economy. Our people are poor because we do not control our economy. We are allowed capital to continue to control and lead South Africa from behind, even though we have occupied political power as a liberation movement. In this regard, we in the SACP, working together with our communities, inviting all forces of the alliance, we say, let's work together to build self-reliant communities and have municipalities that respond directly to the people. When we were in Hanspan, Comrade President, we built a public park. It was built by the youth, not us. We say we built because we activated that as a Communist Party. More than 300 young persons in a small community of 8,000 people came to participate in constructing their own park. They also built a stage for themselves where they will do performances. These are things that we can do. They don't need tenders. We did them in 1 week. We built 4 farms in that particular community so that people can have food. We didn't have a single tender. Now, the revolution that has detached itself from the masses and believe that government will deliver services, and the government claims it doesn't have money because money is now controlled by tender processes, will never be able to succeed. We want to say we remain committed, Comrade President, to building the alliance so that the alliance can be the expected pillar of the people of South Africa in driving their revolution. We remain available to talk, to unify our movement. But our talk should not have conditions. same as the African National Congress with 306,000 seats. We placed these questions, Comrade Dan Atu, to the African National Congress. That's what we called flexible option as the SACP. That in the context of these realities, the alliance have to find a way to discuss things and manage the revolution. But in this time, it will not be left only to the African National Congress, but to the collective proper of the alliance. The reluctance, comrade, despite evidence, comrade President, is because our comrades want control. We are sick and tired of people who want control and not service to our people. Even when our revolution is going astray, it's been reversed by reactionary forces. We just want control. Imagine, for instance, because of, if you were to have about 10,000 proportional seats at the African National Congress and vote proper for the South African Communist Party in an alliance process, alliance agreed process, which the ANC rejected, it was not rejected by this SACP, Comrade Dan. We placed this on the table. It was not rejected by us. So we are past that stage now. The discussions are different because we have passed that stage, which could have developed a different strategy for the alliance. Now, instead, we have leaders condemning the SACP, attacking the SACP, threatening dual membership, doing all these wrong things. That is not how allies work. So we are going ahead, comrades, in this regard, to unify our movement, to save what is left now of the revolutionary movement. Because, comrades, even this thing called the GNU has failed dismally. Capital, my apologies. Capital said, now that we've got the GNU, we'll bring investment, we'll bring this and that. No, that's not the primary thing. We need the transfer of wealth of our country to the people. We need a transfer of land to our people. We want the control of our resources as South Africans. So these are fundamental things. That's why whether you have the GNU or what, you can have economic metrics that indicate that there and there economy is improving and so forth. We're having a fight with Mandlana when we're doing our annual statement. Because he wanted to use these statistics of our spokesperson, Mandlana. Sorry for this public discussion, but we debate in the SACP. So I'm saying, but Mandlana, what have practical this GNU done? Apart from metrics of economy, no, we are turning the corner and so forth. Hey, comrades, if we follow this path, we need 55 years to end unemployment. Where are we going to get that? So that's why we have to reflect proper, and we welcome the NGC's call for the Alliance Summit. We have called for it ourselves many a times. We hope when the Alliance Summit meets, Comrade Richard, it's not a summit about elections. It's a summit about the economic conditions and the living conditions of the working class of our people in this country. That's the summit that we want. Out of that, we can then deal with any other thing, including elections are about personal interests of this and that. No. Those are secondary. The primary things are about the conditions of the working class on the ground. This Joe Slovo that we are celebrating here today would have wanted us to unite more and to continue the struggle. He had warned us about capital itself. We are here, therefore, to recommit ourselves to the alliance and to say our contest of elections is not going it alone. There are those who are propagating this idea that is going it alone. When they say going it alone, we are going with the people. We are not going it alone. We are going with the people. Yes, and it's not even a gamble. We're not gambling about the life of the Communist Party, the life of the working class. No, we are highlighting the primary struggles of the working class so that we take responsibility no longer delegate somebody who doesn't even account to us. Slovo, if you read his articles proper, his Marxism will agree with us. History, comrade, and the conditions of history changes. The conditions of our country today requires a strong SACP on the ground, a resilient SACP, an SACP that cannot be bought by money or positions, an SACP that stands with the people. In Ganspan, Comrade President, we have to take some of our comrades into protection because they are threatened even by ANC leaders. This cannot be acceptable, Comrade President. The attitude of some of our comrades in the movement who believe that they are the gods of politics must come to an end. Politics is for everybody. It's for the working class. No one owns politics in this country. Not components of the alliance. Who can tell people that you can't do this here, you can't do that there. No, it's unacceptable. Our fellow fighter, you are here. Okay, comrades, in closing, comrades, we are not here to mourn Joe Slovo as a Communist Party. We are here to celebrate him, and we appreciate the presence of our alliance components. And President, we really appreciate your presence here. Even last year you were here. You gave us this deal when you were Deputy President that you will want to come here more often. And we can say you have been the most consistent president to come here to this grave site of Joe Slovo for his commemoration. We appreciate that. We will also be participating at the January 8th celebrations of our mother movement, the African National Congress. I can say to you, comrades, no one will ever take us away from the African National Congress. No one, not even its current leadership. They can't. It's impossible. They can expel membership. Membership is not the oath that we took, Comrade Dan, in the camps of Contralesa. That's not membership. We took the oath with our blood to use the ANC as an instrument of the people to advance the liberation of our people. So that, whatever you do, you can never take it away from us. So we appreciate that, but I must also indicate, comrades, that when we have invited leaders to our forums, let's give them respect. Let's give them respect. I've been howled several times in meetings by hired hooligans. We do not want such kind of tendencies to come into the SACP. When we were contesting Metimaulu, we went there with President Zuma. Some hired hooligans who came from the ANC Youth League did not want me to speak. Yeah, you were there. Yes, this is our comrade, Comrade Philip from Metimaulu. They did not want us to speak. And we saved the African National Congress there by our participation. They don't even want to learn from it. We would not have controlled that municipality without us. So when we invite our leaders, anyone we invite as the leadership, we expect our membership to respect them and to allow them space to speak, even when they differ with us. I hope you listen to the inner message of Commander Den Hato of Contralesa Liberation War Veterans. He's pleading with us to meet. It's difficult to meet Comrade Hato. We do have continuous bilateral meetings. But I've said, bilateral meetings that are of no consequence, they are not useful. We need proper commitment in practice. We have not had an alliance summit in more than 10 years. How do you think you can lead a revolution united as the allies? It's not how the alliance should function. But nonetheless, Comrade Tembikos, I point you out. You are our DS. It's your job to respect and to make sure that the delegation that you lead respect the leaders that we have invited when we've given them a platform to speak. So to that extent, Comrade President, my sincere apology for that incident that happened here when we were about to speak. We must give enough decorum to our activities as well as to the activities of the Alliance. Because when we fight against neoliberalism, against austerity, against the deviations, tendencies of the National Democratic Revolution, and for self-reliance of our communities and people's power, it should be that we have had enough time to discuss with our comrades in the Alliance. We will therefore be accepting engagements going forward, including various bilateral sessions with various organizations. We have already been meeting with a series of organizations already, including late in the year, right in December. We're meeting with the religious bodies. We've met with traditional leaders. We've met with the unemployed organizations. We are convening a conference of the left. We've already established a steering committee of the Conference of the Left. The Conference of the Left will be convened in the first half of this year. Yes, Conference of the Left. We are meeting with all organizations. In this regard, for instance, you have heard, for instance, Julius Malema of the EFF saying that they are ready to talk to the Communist Party. We are talking to them, not for an alliance pact, but for Conference of the Left. They are also serving in the steering committee. We've got some of our alliance components. COSATU is serving in the steering committee. The ANC is invited into the steering committee. Sanco is invited in the steering committee. The alliance is invited in the steering committee, as are the mass democratic movement. Because we are building a movement to save the South African revolution collectively. So we are talking to everybody, including the trade unions, NUMSA and others. So when we meet with them, we are not selling out. We are engaging leaders of various organizations so that we can rescue the South African revolution from monopoly capital. In this regard, comrades, we want to thank you for making time to honor our event today in a summer Gauteng. Comrade Panyaza, today we have been spared by the gods of nature that we have not received rain up to this time. We really appreciate. And I must thank you very much, comrades, for making time, including our veterans who have been here since in the morning. And we must say, comrade, that we'll get a report about Comrade Mamabulo and Madala Masoko on the accident scene to understand what happened with our comrades. To Joe Slovo, we will always be here, as we'll be here with many others. Comrade Africa, I haven't seen him, but Comrade Mandla, I've seen the graveside of Linda Jabani is broken, completely broken. As well as the graveside, I think, of his sister, next to it. So we'll have to talk to the family to repair them. Our district is named after Linda Jabani, the Lion of Soweto. We can't come here and commemorate Slovo. The graves of our heroes and heroines are lying destroyed here. So we must rectify that. So we will come here even next year in the form of an alliance to unify ourselves, to wish ourselves more strength as we confront the coming year, and to celebrate with our people where it's necessary, but to take the gadgets of struggle to take them forward. In this regard, we want to say to Comrade Joe Slovo, your party is still here. It's growing. It's strong. It will go forward representing the working class, and it will unify our liberation movement. Forward to a fighting and militant alliance, forward. Forward to a revolutionary unity in action, forward. Forward to worker-led unions and organized communities, forward. Down with neoliberalism and monopoly capital, down. Forward with the National Democratic Revolution towards socialism, forward. Amandla. Thank you very much.